this is the kind of thing that I get infuriated about, but it looks like we actually have some good news going forward for the way this is playing out. This is the kind of thing that really flies under the radar and you generally don't hear much about elsewhere. The International Criminal Court approves a probe of U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan. So an appellate panel of the ICC ruled Thursday that an investigation leading to the potential prosecutions of U.S. officials for war crimes during Washington's nearly 2-decade-long war in Afghanistan can move forward. Fatou Bensouda, the court's Gambian-born chief prosecutor, whose U.S. visa was revoked for her pursuit of the probe, praised Thursday's ruling, stating, quote, "Today is an important day for the cause of justice in Afghanistan." The ruling overturned a decision by the ICC pre-trial judges last year that a case involving crimes by the U.S. and its puppet regime in Afghanistan would, quote, "not serve the interests of justice because of the abject refusal of Washington and Kabul to cooperate. This decision was taken in the context of U.S. threats of retaliation against the court, including economic sanctions and even the arrest of its members if the investigation was allowed to move forward." Think about that for a moment, real quick. The United States is being accused of international war crimes, and the International Criminal Court is launching a probe into investigating those war crimes, and Washington threatens the individuals at the criminal court and the criminal court itself. Retaliation against that court, including economic sanctions and the arrest of its members. Imagine if you could do that if you were a petty criminal. Just be like, well, I have the power to sanction the judicial system and arrest the judges and the prosecutors. That's ridiculous. Okay, the judges of the ICC's appeals panel, the judges ruled that last year's decision was in contradiction to the ICC's own statutes, holding that, quote, "It is for the prosecutor to determine whether there is a reasonable basis to initiate an investigation." Boy, that seems reasonable. How dare they be so reasonable that it is the prosecutor that decides whether we investigate someone to be prosecuted,
That's
not
absurd.
the person who is being accused of international war crimes.
Who knew?
That seems completely appropriate. So this is good news. The ICC is going to move forward with investigation into war crimes the United States very demonstrably has committed in Afghanistan. I very much look forward to seeing David Frum and Bill Kristol and Henry Kissinger on the stand. Wouldn't mind seeing George W. Bush right there too. Let's prosecute war criminals here in the United States for the war crimes they've committed and continue to commit in a war that now has people being deployed to that country who were not yet born for the inciting incidents that started it. How about that?
I think one of the funniest parts of that entire story, not funny, you know what I mean by when I say funny, I mean sarcastically funny, is that they've blocked, what was the person's name again that was actually?
Fatou Bensouda.
Yeah, and that they cancel. What are you doing? You can't just cancel someone's visa. That's like, oh, well, I mean, you have to be in the courtroom to prosecute us, but you're banned from the courtroom. So, haha, I got you.
Gotcha. That's the way that the United States loves winning, is on a technicality.
We win by technicality. Wait, no.
Okay, so
we win by pushing our extreme military and political force on you to a point that you can't fight back because we've circumvented the rules.
That's right up there with your petition is invalid because you were supposed to write it in black ink and this is in blue ink. So,
okay, so here's my issue. Again, the United States has been in Afghanistan now for 20 plus years now. And why are we still there? Osama bin Laden's gone. Anyone who really was part of the Taliban or Al-Qaeda during the time of 9/11 and after are probably dead. I mean, we're in these ridiculous wars and we're committing war crimes, but yet throughout the entire history of the United States, we have prided ourselves of being the good guys. And you know, it's great being the good guys, but you know what? In reality, we're committing crimes. This is barbaric. If any other country was doing this, what we're doing now, there'd be so many people screaming from the rooftops that that enemy nation needs to be stopped, but we're the ones doing it because we're the superpower? How is it that we have money for all these endless wars, but yet we cannot take care of the sick? We cannot do student debt forgiveness. We cannot address climate change. We cannot repair our infrastructure. Hell, we can't even have election integrity. Why? Why are we doing this? And I'll tell you why. It's because of money in politics, because of corrupt politicians. The DNC and RNC, hey, even if you're a loyal Democrat voter or Republican voter, guess what? Those politicians in Washington, D.C., they're friends. They're friends. They're friends. They take the same money from Wall Street, big banks, and major corporations, and you don't have a seat at the table. They don't care about us, but they're more than happy to send the poor to fight in their damn wars.
So, as a final note on this, again, it's always baffled me. I mean, it makes complete sense. I understand it on a logical level, but it nonetheless baffles me because it is a contradiction of contradictions. Why is it that someone can go do a mass shooting and that's terrible and we should put them in jail, and maybe in certain states we can give them the death penalty, but if you're a big enough group of people with enough power and you make a decision that kills millions of people, and if you divvy that out, it's a few thousand kills per person, that's fine. In fact, it makes you a good leader that needs to be reelected because you're strong on terror.
I'm fairly certain that every president since FDR is guilty of war crimes. I don't think there's a single exception.
Yeah.
I mean, yep, not one.